Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Bone Podcast, where we discuss all things crypto market. That includes the majors like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, which hit a new all-time high, meme coins, and of course, NFTs. Today, we're going to talk about Solana finally hitting that new all-time high after 3 years, 3 long years. We had faith here, and it happened. We're going to talk about Bitcoin breaking 99K briefly as a ton of bullish news came out, mostly coming from the Trump camp. And we talk about the latest meme coin meta of live streaming yourself, doing normal and crazy stuff. So we've seen a ton of crazy action over the last 24 hours. Kix, Sig, glad to have you here again with me as we navigate. How you feeling today, Kix?
Feeling good, man. Yeah, dude, it's been wild the past week. Not just in the majors, everything but ETH. But yeah, Bitcoin going to 99. It's actually funny if you're on BullX, you can actually get it's like a news source. Like people said that like Polymarket is like a prediction market for like news and events, right? Like BullX or Pump.Fun is where you can like get your news. So like I knew Bitcoin like crossed above 100K briefly because someone launched a pizza coin, and it's because that pizza that guy bought is now worth $1 billion. Maybe it went to 99K, but whatever. The math on how much that pizza cost that guy bought was now $1 billion, and they launched that coin and sent it to 2 million. So great news source there. And then Solana all-time high meme coins were coming out. So I knew Solana all-time high hit. But yeah, it's awesome to see that in the majors. Definitely got a little weird on the other end of the bell curve yesterday with Andrew Tate and all the streamers. I got rugged by an 8-year-old British kid named Callum. So yeah, it was an eventful 24 hours since we last spoke.
Rugged by kids.
Yeah.
Didn't you get rugged by the whale kid?
No, he pumped it. And that's the thing. Okay. I was like, this is really a sign of how this meta is so much different than the last one. I was like, in the last meta, like this, 9-year-old kid launches an NFT project about cute whales, and it goes up in price and everyone loves it. I'm like, in 2024, this 8-year-old British kid launches a Pump.Fun token and rugs everybody. That's just the sign of the times.
Sign of the times. Yeah. His name's Callum. Smart little kid.
Smart little kid. He sounded like a smart kid too. Little does Callum know, I'm about to feed him into AI and recreate him as a dev. Callum, the AI dev. And little Callum thought he could get away. Now he's gonna have a little AI Twitter account that just impersonates him. Hey, I'm off to school. I got my new shoes. Hopefully the ladies like me today.
He sounds like Oliver Twist.
I'm only 5'2",
can I
but
have
I'm dripping.
Motul cones.
I got the drip now. Hopefully the ladies like me, and I won't get bullied no more.
Fucking crazy. And speaking of news, you get news from like all over the place. Like apparently there was like some sort of like ambulance scare coming out of Mar-a-Lago where people thought that like Trump died. So there's like RIP Trumps coming up, but it turned out it ended up just being like a JD Vance motorcade that like happened to include ambulances.
Yeah, and the guy was fairly legitimate that was like posting it. It's like, bro, like I don't know, man. If there's always like an ambulance in the motorcade, maybe you should know that. Or maybe you shouldn't just go off of like, there's an ambulance driving by, like, oh fuck, Trump's dead. You know what I mean? There was like rest in peace Trump, meme coins.
Pray for Trump. Yeah, there's like everything going on. Yeah, I got wrecked yesterday. I started the day off so hot on that Saint trade. I should have just hung it up. I was talking to Kix before we went live, and I just like over traded back into that, traded everything. I like tried to trade the Andrew Tate stream with Bodoggos, which just like broke even there, but that just like wrecked my soul and like karma for like even listening to that idiot for 2 hours. And then like I just like need a day to like detox. I think I'm just like touch grass today, like step away. Like yesterday was just absolute disaster. As soon as the show ended, it was just like I don't think I made one correct button click. Every single one, I was just like feeding money back into the market.
Yeah, and I think some of like what Clemente does. I'm actually a little like hopeful that BullX is going to get their. I think they're just so busy. It was crashing yesterday, which reminded me of NFTs, which is bullish. Remember, like when like OpenSea was crashing, that was bullish. Bolux was crashing all day yesterday, but they have a way where you can like send money to a new wallet, right? But like they've disabled it. I guess I can just manually do it, but I like Clemente's strategy of like load in whatever you're comfortable with, like 5 Sol in for a day, 10 Sol in for a day, right? And if you run it up in a big way, just withdraw that shit and like take it back down to 10, right? So like with your like Saint trade, right? If you were up 3 or 4 grand, so you're up like 10 or 15 Sol, right? You just like pull that back out, go to your original balance. It's like, okay, if I lose, I lose this, then I'm done for the day. Yeah, I did a lot of stupid shit yesterday. May have been a moon event, astrological. I wouldn't worry about it too much.
The more time I spend around you guys, the more I just realize how much you're all gambling addicts. I'm just going to put it out there. Like
it's pretty much gambling for sure.
It is full on gambling. Like,
but so were NFTs.
I don't know. I feel like there's some skill. There is skill to meme coins and there is skill to NFTs, but I also feel like for a lot of people to just straight up gamble. I'm in on this. I'm not gonna lie. I'm also gambling as well. But I think like because I recognize it's pure ass gambling, my size is completely like I just put my size quite low. And in the back of my head, I'm like, it's okay because I'm in the majors and the majors are doing all the work I need to do because I allocated during the bear. So
if anything, I have fun with this signal so I don't look at everything else I'm holding and thinking about selling it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll just be over here. This will be my play stuff. Like when I'm like, hey, I want to do something. I want to trade some coins. I'm completely with you. I'm not. It is gambling for sure. But gambling does have skill. Gambling does have skill.
You guys might not agree on this, but for some reason, every time I hear somebody go, this is my 3rd cycle, this is my 4th cycle, I know that's going to be like a badge of honor, but in my head, I always read it as like, those musicians back in the 80s and the 90s that were always in rehab. And they were like, the guitarist and they were like the best guitarist on one of like the greatest bands of all time. And they're going back into rehab for the 3rd, 4th time. That's what I think of people who are in the crypto cycle. And it's like, this is my 3rd cycle. And I'm like, man, you still haven't made it. We're all still here in rehab.
Honestly, why haven't you retired yet?
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking. I have questions.
People don't make money in their 1st cycle. Like they lose money. The 2nd cycle is when they like start to like figure it out, and it's like that 3rd cycle that they retire. Like that's what people say, but who knows? Like I feel like your mileage may vary, like based on who you are. Like how many people really here for like the 1st cycle? I feel like if you're in the 1st cycle and you like had any kind of conviction, you were just like you're set.
Yeah, like buying Bitcoin at $1,000.
Yeah, 100%. And then just having like any kind of conviction. I mean, we can look back now and say like, I'm sure in 4 years you can be like, yeah, buying Solana at like $8. Like, yeah, obviously you guys should have been good. But there's a number of people who just aren't holding. They didn't have the conviction. They didn't time it correctly. They got out of it.
Yeah. Hindsight is always 2020. I was just thinking about the other day, like in March, like from January to March 2023, like, Bitcoin, there was still like a 3-month period where it was sitting at like 24K, right? And then I was like,
oh no,
is this my fucking internet?
I think
it's like all over the place. Maybe there's like some sort of outage. Like mine seems to be fine, but Signal had some issues earlier. Kick, you froze.
I had some issues earlier. I've got mine. Kicks, you froze for a little bit, but go ahead, Kicks.
Okay. The fuck was I saying?
Cycles, Solana, buying.
Yeah, hindsight 2020, buying Solana at $8. I was looking at January through March 2023. Bitcoin was like 20-25K ranging, but we forget that was when that San Francisco bank collapsed and USD was depegging, right? Like everyone thinks that like the ride up is just smooth sailing, like, oh, it's a little chops and stuff like that. No, there is serious FUD, right? The whole way. FTX collapses. Then in Q1 of that year, banks collapse, USDC depegs. You know what I mean? Like, it was a ride. But we stayed around. We didn't give up.
And you know what, Ray? I've been listening to a lot of the interviews you've been recommending, just like on the show. You a couple of times you've been saying, listen to this interview, has been really great. Most of them have been with people who are considered like top traders in the space. And every single one of them who have been through this like third cycle run, every single one is like, I should have just held Bitcoin. Every single one. If I had like, because like they bought it, they sold the top at the time, they then went back in, blah, blah, blah. And all of them with Harry hindsight are like, should have just bought Bitcoin and not touched it. Even people like Rob Powell, all these guys. And so it just feels like I don't want to do
certainly all the ETH
3 and
maxis.
4. Yeah, well, I don't want to do cycles 3 and 4. Like I want to just like make my payday and then like leave. So I just feel like hold your Bitcoin, and then you don't even have to be the world's greatest trader. You just have to be the greatest person who has the patience not to touch the button and pull a Mount Gox. You want to Mount Gox yourself, basically. Lock 100%. It up and not be able to touch it.
I mean, probably some of the richest people in crypto and Twitter never trade, never check Twitter, right? They're just like Shamath Papalavia, whatever the fuck his name is, you know, just bought a fuck ton of Bitcoin. He doesn't give a shit about shitcoins. He's like, he put in $200 million at Bitcoin at like $3,000. So he's a multi-billionaire off of Bitcoin. He doesn't give a shit about, he's not on crypto Twitter. Like guys, I can't believe I missed Solana. $10. He was actually in Solana. That motherfucker last cycle was trading fucking locked Solana tokens at 250. He was selling at 250. Look, we're back there. He's still laughing at the bank. He printed last cycle on Solana. Sold the top.
We're gonna dive into some more of this. Who wants to handle the little weather report today? Is that a Kicks day? Is it a Signal?
Yeah, I'll do it. Trying to give Signal the day off, get her, nice and ready for phase 2. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, today is Friday, November 22nd. Looking at the crypto roundup, the majors are up on the day with Bitcoin over 98K, Ethereum topping 3,300, and Solana at 257. The leading top 100 coin was, of course, XRP, which is up 25% on the day to an $80 billion market cap. Man, if you know an XRP maxi, they're interesting characters. They're diehard. They're having a damn good day. Over the past 24 hours, Solana hit an all-time high at 264. Van Eck, Bitwise, 21 shares. And, of course, your favorite, Canary Capital, filed Solana ETF applications with the CBOE. Now that Gary Gensler is a Gonzler, we'll see how that goes. Next up, it was a bullish day for Bitcoin as it briefly broke the 99K mark. The guy that bought that pizza with Bitcoins, those Bitcoins are worth $1 billion. Bitcoin ETFs recorded over 1 billion in daily net inflows, and news broke that Trump's Crypto Advisory Council is expected to set up the promised Bitcoin reserve. Nothing better than the U.S. government buying the top of our bags. Am I right? Last but not least, Gary Gensler officially announced his resignation from the SEC. He'll be stepping down January 20th of next year. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Good luck getting a job at Goldman Sachs. Back to you in the studio.
Excellent weather report as always, Kicks. Yeah, a lot to break down. Yesterday felt like it's definitely a candidate for the most bullish crypto news day of all time. Like, I don't know if we've seen.
I don't know. Last week we had all those meme coins listed on Binance and Coinbase. Remember when it all rang?
I'm looking like bigger picture. Solana hit a new all-time high. Bitcoin hit a new all-time high. $1 billion of inflows. Trump is launching a social media companies launching a crypto payment service.
Gary Gensler resigned.
Yeah, Gensler's gone. The Bitcoin
XRP
reserve
up 25%.
Yeah, like it seems like everything that we just talked about. Like
I don't buy an 8-year-old dev.
Yeah, and I
that's
lost
bullish.
money.
Actually, that's not bearish. That's bullish.
Bullish day of crypto news I think I've seen since I've been in the space. Like I don't know if there's like been a bigger day. Like what else has happened that's like moved the needle more than yesterday?
When FTX collapsed, that made this all possible.
Thank you, FTX.
I think Sam was doing some weird shit with Bitcoin last cycle.
Love this comment from Noel. January 21st, Gensler is going to drop a Photon ref link.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. Get some of that 1% fees. Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw on the timeline. I saw this guy. He was making some fairly decent points. But there's a lot of cope on the timeline from people that weren't all in or aren't invested in Solana. Maybe they own a lot of ETH. Who knows what they own? They certainly don't own a bunch of Bitcoin because I don't think they'd be complaining. They're up 5x from the lows. Probably ETH people, EVM chain people. But I see one guy complain, and he's like, it was the weirdest thing ever. He's like, the biggest scam this cycle is Solana. Market cap is way over all-time highs, but they're just barely getting to all-time highs. This is due to something called inflation, and every user's paying the price. Like, bro, this thing did a fucking 25x off the lows. Shut the fuck up, dude. Like, you sound like a clown right now. Then there was another guy with an actually a little bit more legitimate like take. What he was saying is all of the things that we're seeing on Solana this cycle is the things that we saw in NFTs last cycle, meaning that like there's like high fees, like the people are making a lot of money off of the fees, like the apps and stuff like that. And his whole point is that just like ETH with ETH shitcoins, the operators and the smart money is just going to slowly grind away at everybody else until there's nobody else. And then that's when the house of cards collapses. And, you know, he pointed out, for example, trading bots have made $500 million this cycle. A lot of people talk about how Pump.Fun is the one raking it in with 200 million, right? Some of these trading bots, Photon, BonkBot, etc., they made 500 mil this cycle. Also, he said that like the amount of money people are making off of MEV is absolutely insane. And then he listed, for example, a $500 trade via Photon. You pay a $5 Photon fee, right? You pay a 1% bribe, a 1 to 2% priority fee, and then you get slipped. And what slippage generally is, some of it's natural and low market caps, but a lot of it is you're getting MEV'd very often, even with MEV protection enabled. It doesn't always work. He calculated the total fees on a $500 trade to be about 2.5%, not including slippage, right? And his point was basically, if you make 50, was it 50? If you make 50 break-even trades, you've lost all your money.
20 break-even buys and sells and you're broke.
Yes, exactly. 20 break-even buys and sells and you're broke. And I mean, he is right in the sense this was kind of like NFT fees last cycle. If anything, I retweeted this and I said 2.5% is kind of cheap because NFTs, we were paying 7.5 on some of these
more
things.
Than that, Kicks. I remember,
yeah, sometimes 10.
Dude, because I remember other side gas fees, you were paying, I want to say like $700. I want to say somewhere between $500 to $700.
I didn't even think about the gas
for your transaction to go through.
Yeah.
So I understand what he's saying, and his point is completely valid. But I think to go from paying, you know, insane. I mean, that was the whole point why everybody went to Solana in the first place, was because the gas fees on Ethereum were just ludicrous. So I understand why he's saying this, but like relative to what they were 3 years ago, I think we're in a pretty good position. I would say here, maybe what he's trying to just highlight is that perhaps not everybody's aware of this information. That's probably what he's trying to say. Hey, that if you put $500 in, do you know that you're paying that?
Yes, and the fact, that people don't see these fees and they don't really feel them, right? But they're there. Just for a smart tip for people out there, a buddy of mine, he actually turned his priority fee off and he's had zero issues with it. He kept his bribe on. But if you think about that, he's saving 0.01 per trade. I think also the difference with meme coins is you're trading them with a way higher frequency than NFTs. Like a lot of us, right? We'd buy an NFT and you'd maybe hold it for months, right? So you do one buy, one sell. But people that complain, it's so funny, right? Because as you said, the fees have come down over time. When I was trading on Nifty Gateway, the standard fee on Nifty Gateway was 15%, not the high end. The standard was 15%. There was some collections, I'm not even fucking with you, 25, 30, 40. there was this one cartoonist that launched a collection, and he put the fucking fees at 30%.
Jesus.
30 fucking percent. It was the stupidest shit of all time. I lost $2,000 on it. Do you mind if I share my screen?
Yeah, go for it. I'm just showing my my other deed mint transaction fee of $8,515.
What? Oh my God. You paid $8,000 for your other side land to go through.
Yes.
Okay.
So this was the collection. I don't know if anyone remembers Insane Critter.
Yes, I remember this. I remember this.
You remember
Fix.
this?
This is the weirdest. It has a really weird animation, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm about to pull it
He's
up.
spanking a. Yeah, let's not put spoilers in.
People need to
Spoilers.
know about this. That there was it may have
Quora
been even
answer
40%. It may have been even 40% on this. But there
So I
was
think you
like
like
this guy Liplet. Did they get rid of the ass smacker? That's a
Yeah,
bummer.
he was smacking the ass. I remember that one. I remember that
Yeah,
one
like
very well.
the one I was showing over here. He would look back and then he would smack his ass. And I lost $2,500 on that.
So fees have come down since then, basically.
Fees have come down, and it makes sense why everyone's over on Solana. But I think Base is doing very well, and I think that if Base kind of breaks away as a leader, then I think the DApp focus, the people focusing on DApps on Base can improve. So I think Base, you should be on Solana or Base, and I think there's a lot of opportunities on Base, and I think it'll continue as long as the bull run continues.
Also, as well, for these platforms, I think one of the things you have to be cognizant of is that even though these fees are probably quite high, the cycle for these moments, like these companies build a product, then they wait and they wait and they wait for this moment. They take in all this capital, and then we have a bear. We go into a bear. People are not trading memes. You look at OpenSea revenue, what it was at the all-time high. Right, I don't know if you can pull that up on the charts, but they were bringing literally billions per month, and then that just dropped. That just dropped to like lows, like probably in the low millions when we went into the bear. Probably under that as well. So a lot of companies went bust over this time during the bear market. They just
you got to make your money when it's good.
Everyone, they've got to make their money while it's good in order for them to get to the next cycle. So I feel like, for the entrepreneurs in this environment who are trying to build something and create something like us, they also have to take advantage of the current environment, take as much capital so they have runway, and then they can make it through the next bear and then make it to the next bull cycle. So I do.
I'm with you, Signal.
Yeah, because it's tough. It's tough. Like if companies are raising, I don't know, 5 to 10 million, and that has to last them 4 years. These are tech companies. It's going to be capital intensive for them.
Engineers
to hire
are not
the right
cheap.
People. Engineers are not cheap.
I'm sure Bolex servers fees are not a drop in the bucket. I'm sure they're paying $100K a month, if not more, in server fees to keep everything running. And I compared, for example, I think a comparable. Because you kind of said, meme coins are gambling in a sense. I think it's it's a skill game for some people. It's gambling for other people. So daily fantasy sports in the United States is very comparable. DraftKings, FanDuel, their fee on those is about 7.5%. And DraftKings has never turned a profit on daily fantasy sports, even with a 7.5% fee, because so much of it goes into marketing and these other things. Now they're making all their money on the gambling side. But what's interesting as well is a lot of people have been putting out these posts or these tweets saying 98% of people lose money on Pump.Fun. I think that's a false number because they're factoring in all users, and there's devs running volume bots and stuff like that. So all of those volume bots are just going to be counted as losers because they're just buying and selling and losing a little bit, right? But I think the number is closer to what you see. McKinsey did a study on daily fantasy sports, and the percentage of players that are long-term winners is 13%. So 87% are long-term losers. 13% are long-term winners, and the top 1% of winners makes over 80% of the total profit. And I'd say that's probably very comparable to NFTs and meme coins. And I think it was the same thing with NFTs. I think if you look at the NFT cycle, probably 87% of people lost money, 13% made money, 1% made most of the money.
Exactly.
So that's just the game. Because if you think, and a lot of people are like, wow, why is there so many losers? If there's 50% winners, there's no winners, right? Because if half the people, like, you know what I'm saying? There can't be 50% winners mathematically, because where's the money coming from, right? You have to have more losers than winners for there to be profit. That's just the nature of any sort of competitive game out there. So I think that's very typical, but I think you should be cognizant and sober of that, is that when you're going into these things, mathematically, you're more likely to be a loser than a winner. So you have to be very disciplined. You have to try to get better. You have to try to improve your game. One of the things that I think some people make a mistake on with like Bullx, Photon, any sort of those trading, is they're trying to like trade meme coins at 0.10, right? They're trying to buy a meme coin for 0.10 Solana. Your fees, you're at that level, you're taking about 20% loss on every trade in fees. So at least the founders and NFTs thought they were building something. I don't know. The more that I've done meme coins, once again, like I traded Turbo, I traded Pepe back in the day. I wish I had held them, but I didn't really have fun with the other meme coins where it was just, there wasn't that many. What I see on Pump.fun, in my opinion, is pretty similar to NFTs. It's also similar to Polymarket. Once again, on Polymarket, I think there's probably 13% winners, 87% losers. That's just how the game works out. You have to be cognizant of that. And I think just like, Ray, you took some L's yesterday. I took some L's yesterday. Easy took some L's yesterday. Even people that would think that you think maybe are winners are taking losses over all the time. The speed at which all of these different coins come out, it has to be a game where you're saying no way more than you're saying yes to clicking the trigger.
And also to your point, Kix, is like, yes, there's winners, but I think that distribution point is so important, because it's like the actual sentiment on the timeline will make you think that everyone is winning big, because
Yes.
no one is gonna
Admit their losses.
screenshot that they got a 40% increase. That is embarrassing in meme coins.
Doesn't even let you show a loss. The flex button goes away if you're in the red.
Exactly. And I actually really appreciated a post that two people have put out recently. One is by Crypto Kaleo, where he talks about how he lost $500,000 because he used leverage. That was one, and he really goes into what happened, why it happened. You can see this really affected him mentally, that he sort of like had to basically touch grass and just sort of reconfigure how he's going to be moving going forward, because that's what a huge loss does to you. And you know, he's one of the biggest.
It can put you on tilt. So what he's smart is by touching grass. He's very smart, because what people would do, let's say his net worth is 7 million and he lost 500K on leverage, right? What some people do is they'll go on tilt and then they'll blow half the stack. Because when you're emotional on tilt, then you start doing things like, oh, to make back that 500K loss, I need to get more aggressive. And then that's when you end up being Franklin.
Yeah, exactly. And then the other person that wrote it was the name has gone, the Sappy Seal guy. Sorry, the name's gone, but he wrote a really long post around how him and a couple of friends, I think it was during NFTs, how basically they went from like a couple of $100s all the way to millions. And basically out of the three friends, I think like two of them basically lost everything. They like round tripped everything. And then the last one, I think he managed to keep the most of it, but then he ended up stacking shelves in basically Sainsbury's, which is this like your local supermarket in the UK, because he basically lost purpose around, what do I do with my life now that I've actually like basically got to the end of the game. For him, at least for this person, getting the money was the end of the game, and then somehow he completely lost his way. And I just feel like more of that kind of needs to be seen on the timeline, because everyone's bull posting as if they're winning all the time, when your point kicks is that A, there's a very high percentage of losers, and B, the distribution of the wins is nothing compared to what you think it is from the timeline and the sentiment it projects versus what it actually is when you go into people's P&Ls.
Totally. And like for me, 2021, I was very good at the game and I made a lot of money. 2022, I lost some money, gave it a little back. 2023, I made some money. 2024, I made some money, but nowhere near what I did in 2021. And even though some of my peers have absolutely crushed it in 2023 and 2024, and that's been very humbling for me. And I think one thing that I've learned, and I'm happy that I did it, is that I think people need to be cognizant out there that you can be really good at something for a period of time and then not be great anymore, right? You see that in sports, you see that in many facets of life. And so I do really, really believe that if you ever get to an amount of profit where you can change your life in a substantial way, you can go put a down payment on a house, right? You can put money in a retirement account and be like, cool, when I hit with that, putting that money in my retirement account now, when I hit 50 or I hit 60, I'll be set for life. You have to take that, because as like what Signal said, it's so true that I think just so many people round trip either just by never selling or by taking profits and then thinking that they're still just as good at the game as they were during a period of time, and then give it all back. And when you start taking losses, you can get more aggressive, more sloppy, and then completely round trip it. So, I would love to have crush it in 2023 and crush it in 2024, right? That would have been great. But I'm really happy with my decision in 2021 to take a significant amount of my profits after taxes and pull it off the table and never put it back in the game. And now I have a little bit left in the game where if I really can become good again, like I'd like to become good at meme coins again, because I think that's like NFTs, then I could run it back up. But if I don't run it back up, I'm not that person. I think it takes a real special person mentally to be able to like round trip 7 figures and not have it mentally destroy you, right? Ebrink says fighters stay in the ring way too long. You got to know when you're at your peak, and you got to get your money, right? And then you got to not be like a sports person. You got to not be going and blowing it on cars and blowing it on moving up your expenses and stuff like that. But yeah, man, but that's the game. That's what everyone wants to be in. Everyone's trying to run it up and take it to the top. But just once again, it comes down to math, right? Which is that if 87% of people are losers and 13% of people are winners, what that requires is that 80% that are losers, a lot of them are up for a period of time. They just never take the chips off the table. And then they go from being a winner to a loser. That's the nature of the game. The only way that there's people like Bonk Guy, right, that's up 16 or 20 million, that 16 or 20 million came from somewhere else. You know what I mean? And those people are on the other end. Those people are going to be losers. So if you're winning really hard and you can change your life, do it. But what Signal said, where that person lost his purpose in life, the other thing too is you have to realize, unless you somehow think that this is going to lead you to a career as a hedge fund trader or a venture investor, like trading skills isn't developing you hard skills in life, right? Like you can't run up $1 million trading meme coins, lose it all, and be like, hey, that's fine. Now I'm going to go get a $300K a year job on Wall Street, right? So a lot of the people out there, like what Pio preaches, right? And what you preach, Signal, which is like, for most people, just putting money into Bitcoin, right? Or just making way less trades. I think like what you said, Signal, like people that go and they buy Chill Guy at 70 million, right? Those people probably have way more mental health, way more sanity, and way more time to develop other skills in life, right? Because if you put 3 or 4 years into this game, trading 8 hours a day, and you walk away and you got nothing really to show for it, that's not a skill set, in my opinion. Except, yes, mentally, maybe there's a skill set in like understanding decision making and understanding analysis and stuff like that. There are some skills there. More so, my point is that a lot of people out there, you may just stall out your career, and that's fine in your 20s. I think for me, as I've gotten like later in my 30s, that's why I have fun with the meme coins, but I'm still working really hard at the game studio and trying to get better at running a business and managing business and all of those things, developing those skills, because whatever happens, for me personally, trading, you want to have those other skills and stuff like that. And for a lot of people too, yeah, it's like you make, even we're talking about the 0.01% that make $5-7 million, right? You pay your taxes, you're down to $3.54 million, and you don't know what to do with your life, right? And money can't buy a lot of things. Money can't buy you an amazing wife or an amazing husband or amazing kids or really cool friends and stuff like that, right? And it doesn't have the skill sets. Like a lot of people like up $3.54 million, they don't know what to do with it. But I don't want to be all depressing. There's people, for example, one of my best trading friends in 2021 in 2022 made an absolute shit ton of money, and then said like, I'm now going to be like a smart investor with my money, and took like multiple millions off the table and put it into like historically undeveloped zones, where if you invest in like real estate in these historically undeveloped zones, you don't get taxed and stuff like that, right? So he really became like his own money manager, right? And I think that's where the really smart people can break through. But there, you got to know when you're. I couldn't even have said it as good as was Ebrink. Fighters stay in the ring too long. Like if you're in, you're undefeated, you're whacking, you hit Pepe, you're up 200 grand on Pepe, you hit another meme coin, you're up 200 grand on that. Okay, taxes are coming soon. If you're so fucking good at the game, right, and after taxes you have $1 million. If you're so good at the trading game, you should be able to take 800K of that out, change your life forever, and you should be able to run that other 200 back up if you're so damn good, right?
The thing is, I feel like the competition in meme coins is different, Kicks. It's kind of like how NFTs were back when we started. Like one of the reasons people were able to do so well was because there wasn't that much competition. You're up against people who were also new to the sector, because the sector was new by itself. So everybody was learning at the same time. So, it's kind of like comparing like a class of kids who can't read. Well, the kid that has the parent that reads that little bit more allows for that kid to be, exceptionally better than everybody else. But then as time goes by, technology comes in, bots comes in. So basically that advantage goes away. And I feel like it's the same thing as meme coins. That's what's happening now. But obviously it's happening at a faster pace because people have the learnings of the previous cycle. And the reason why the person that you're talking about is so good that they could run it up, they couldn't run it up. Because when they hit Wall Street, they're hitting Paul Tudor Jones. They're hitting Warren Buffett and his team. They're hitting Millennium. They're
hitting people 10 times as smart as the people
10 times as smarter, 10 times more money, 10 times more research. And so the reason why they do so well is because like the meme coin market gives people like us an edge, which is why it's so much fun to go run it up. But like you say, once you run it up, it's like, well, what do you do next? Because as you said, like going to Wall Street is probably not going to be where you're going to land, but there's obviously
100%.
other interesting things. Tons of
Signal, if you were to mark the point in NFTs where I stopped really crushing it, was when the sophistication came in. It's when people started trading with bots, and they had bots that could like snipe mints from a bunch of different wallets and then bundle them back together and sell them out and stuff like that. Poto Best said, I remember in 2021, 2022, Kix was in a certain very powerful alpha group. It was second only to Spirit Azuki. I've forgotten its name. It's the Underground. And those guys are great. And they were very, very good at the game. And they were able to like take advantage of the bots and the tooling and stuff like that to be really good at NFTs. Even though I was a part of that group, I wasn't very good at it. And I tried to do what they did. And it just was different for me, Signal. Once again, I think like just the nature of the game changed when all of that sophistication came in. The biggest alpha group that I was a part of that actually like changed my life was Nifty Gateway Discord. And then a group of those people made just a different Discord channel. And that was where I got like the alpha to mint Gutter Cat Gang. That's where I got the alpha to buy Bored Ape Yacht Club, right? Those are the people that when I was about to take a nice Epsom salt bath, I got a ping in that Discord that mutants did a stealth launch, and I ran butt ass naked downstairs and threw an absurd amount of money at that and hit a super rare. But yeah, man, it's super fun though. I mean, one thing that I've loved about this space is that it is never consistent. It's always changing. There's always fresh new things. But I do think that if you're trying to make money in this space, most people can probably make more money either just buying Bitcoin or buying some majors or spending way more of their time researching, right? And making calculated plays like that Anon trade that we talked about yesterday. So Signal, Darren, I met him through Nifty Gateway in that Nifty Gateway Discord. Incredibly awesome dude. Has had a great like career in Web 2, went super DGen 2021, made a good bag. And he stays away from the meme coin game because he's just like, I don't get it. And I know when I don't get it, I'm going to go in and I'm going to get wrecked. And instead, what he's done is he just waits for narratives, trades, things like that he thinks is significant. And he just makes a big buy there and holds it and makes a lot of money. So he doesn't trade meme coins, but he bought pups at like $2, right? Made a great trade on that. He got into DGen super early, made a great trade on that. He's the one that surfaced Anon, which is a protocol on Base that ties into Farcaster and Warpcaster. And essentially what they do is they use ZK proofs and the Anon token, and you can burn some of the Anon token to post an anonymous message on this shared chat, right? And that's like kind of cool new technology. It's not AI, but it's similar to the AI agents in the sense of this kind of like interesting social experiment. And he called that at 8-10 million. Vitalik ended up buying in. Ray told me that yesterday, and it went as high as 50 million, right? And that's one of those things where instead of spraying one Solana at all of these random meme coins, right, hoping you just hit a 20-30x on some random ass thing, instead you could have looked at this and say, hey, this is a new thing. It's never been done before. Like this could catch on. People may really like it. And instead of spewing one Solana at a bunch of different things, let's say even if you had 50K to your name and you just put 5K on this at $8 to $10 million and it runs up to 50 million, now you've turned your 5K into 25, right? After taxes, that's 10K, 12K, maybe 15K. You've now increased your stack size by 30% off of one trade, right? And I think most people in the space would agree, even Easy, who likes trading, bull leg stuff left and right. I'm pretty sure Easy's made most of his money on a few concentrated bets, right? He made most of his money on Solana. He's made most of his money on, making a big bet on Jupe or Radium, right? Or made a, big bet on FWOG, right? It's those, in this game, especially meme coins, it's 10, 50 times more intense than NFTs in terms of all of the things that you see coming across your radar. So what you can do is you can put yourself in a mindset of almost like an ADD child watching YouTube, right? Next video, next video, next video, next video, next video, right? And you never take a step back and put pen to paper and be like, let me actually do some research. Let me actually do some thinking, right? Let me try to understand where the big opportunities could be. And the big opportunities are almost often like not where the trend is right now, right? So like when 2-3 weeks ago, when the trend wasn't AI agents and everything like that, the people that saw Waifu and said, wow, these guys created a way that you can just deploy your own AI agent right into Pump.fun. This is at $3 million. That seems really interesting, right? Instead of spraying 300 trades on the meme coin casino, you could have just said, hey, that's interesting technology. I think look at Cerebro, look at Goat, like AI agents is the meta, and you sized in at 3 million and you were smart enough to sell at 150, that's a 50x in 2 weeks. So if you put in 1,000, that's 50 grand, right? I think way more people can win at that style of playing the game.
And just adding to your point, you're talking about people like Easy making their bag. I think what's interesting is that like those types of people actually made their bag in the bear because they all allocated during the bear market. And what's interesting is that people are
when
like,
it's hard, you make the money when it's hard, not when it's easy.
You make the money when it's hard, when it's like aubergine season and nothing is happening and you're so bored of like the slow news cycle and you're just like, oh my God, nothing is happening in a space. And it's actually the people that were just been sitting around, sitting around, being in a space, keeping up with what's going on. You have time to observe trends. You have time to observe that meme coins are coming. Like not even, I would say 12 months ago, was there consensus that there was going to be a meme coin super cycle basically happening now? Not even 12 months ago. But for the people that stuck around, they were saying it. Easy was saying it. Greeny was saying it. OSF was saying it. Like the people who have been consistent. And I think like when it's slow, it's much easier to allocate your funds to things that you think are going to run 12 months from now. And it's just about sitting on that, having conviction, and then being like, it's going to come, it's going to happen. Because I think it's so much harder, Kicks, to do what you're saying now, because you're running around basically like a headless chicken from Discord to Discord, trying to figure out which token is dropping, what is the trend, but like when it's the bear market, you can just do it because the cycle is slower. You can literally hear the signal through the noise. Right now, it's all noise. It's all noise.
Even a year ago, the simplest thing you could have done, if you didn't have, and I remember seeing a lot of people in the timeline do this, they like just sold their whole ETH stack, got into Solana a year ago at like 80 bill. And that's just a nice clean 3x with long-term capital gains.
Easily. And I remember thinking, I remember several reasons why I allocated to Solana during the bear. One being simply because of Easy's conviction that this is not going away. And I think sometimes it's like, you don't even have to necessarily understand the technology of something to have conviction in it, but to have people in the space that you trust and you know that they're addicted to one area and they're like, this is going to happen, this is going to run. They have a track record, they have that experience, like, okay, I might not see what they see right now, but I'm going to allocate a bag and maybe in 6 months from now I will. And that's kind of like basically what I did with Solana anyway after FTX. I think I must have
copy trading smarter people can be like literally the best moves.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm grateful to Easy for that. He's been shouting from the hills for Solana probably since FTX, if not before that.
It's wild that he hosted that stream like we're not giving up, and it was at $8 and Solana's delisting them. And then also his conviction to get Bodagos on Solana, because I think that helped a lot of the community that was, on ETH and maybe had no exposure or experience in Solana to get over to Solana, and start participating in the ecosystem there.
And again, that was not the obvious thing to do. It
wasn't. Most people would have said like what Frank did, and not to knock Frank at all. And Frank had like a very good point where he said that like a lot of his decisions during those periods of time was influenced not by himself, but by like the community. And like a lot of people in like a herd mentality community can panic and stuff like that, right? So when you see Solana at $8 and DGod's the top thing, and you're like, okay, we need to go to, the market has said the chain's dead, we need to go to another chain, right? Whereas Easy's like, no, we need to double down on Solana. You charting over here, buddy?
Ray, you're muted.
I feel like I've been trying to jump in, and that's why my dogs were barking earlier. You guys have been absolutely crushing it, though. Yeah, I've just been pulling up meme coin charts. I'm looking at Solana now and DYDX, and this run that we had February to March is like really looking similar to what we're working with now. I basically just took the same run, and like it's basically Pico top. Looking at or like the MACD curl here, it kind of like is setting up to do the same thing where like it kind of started curling down and then like reset and then had this like giga pump on the MACD. So I'm wondering if we get,
because I think the like the difference like going into 2021 versus going into 2025 was like just the absurd amount of money flowing in, right? And then also the size of the crypto market is way different, so the order of magnitudes is way different, right? Like Bitcoin's in the trillions, right? It was not in the trillions going into 2021. Like ETH going into 2021 was still at like $800, right? So like the order of magnitude on these things is really different, because if we were to repeat 2025, January through May for the majors was an absolute cook. That's when, you know, Bitcoin went from 20 to 60. That's when ETH went from 800 to 3K something. I think Q1 for the majors still could be good, but it's hard to imagine they're going to do 5, 10 baggers going into 2021. But as long as they hold up and consolidate, then you probably just see more degeneracy down the risk curve. Because generally when you're in a bull market and the majors are chopping, that's when the other stuff goes absolutely bananas. That's why when like some people were saying like, oh, the top has to be in on meme coins because it's like getting absurd out there, right? And in 2021, I famously, tried to call the top on NFTs like 4 times through the cycle. And yeah, there were retracements and stuff like that, but it just kept making new highs, kept making new highs. And I think it'll probably be the same thing with meme coins. Like when you think it's getting toppy, it's probably just going to continue to top that much more.
Yeah, definitely interesting. Like looking at the previous run and like the similar setup, I'm looking at like Sol like almost topping here and then chopping it.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at that. I mean, what's its market cap right now? It's 121 billion. I mean, what I would say is I think that like Solana has the ability to eke out more upside than Bitcoin or Ethereum. Bitcoin's $2 trillion right now. I mean, that's insane to think about $2 trillion. Everybody that was bearish on Bitcoin and made fun of it or said it was going to go to zero, if they don't admit that they're wrong, then they're not smart people. But like, Solana's still at 120. And I think like, smart money would comp it to Ethereum in some way, shape, or form, or at least comp it to 50% of Ethereum, which would be like an 80% gain from here. I think the real tough thing for Ethereum that I've continued to say is like people are like, okay, like Ethereum to, 6K, right? Certainly possible, but Ethereum at 3K it's a $400 billion market cap. There's not very many companies in the world that are worth $400 billion, right? I mean, Bitcoin at $2 trillion is starting to approach the price of Apple and Google in terms of market cap, right? So like Ethereum, some people are like Ethereum to 10K. That's a $1.2 trillion market cap. I don't think that there's enough activity or use case on Ethereum right now to justify a $1.2 trillion market cap, right? If anything, 400 billion seems pretty fairly priced for what it is in its current state. Doesn't mean that it can't eventually get to 1.2 trillion.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things to be said though. So like last cycle, it was probably priced way above where it should have been because there's speculation in retail flying in. And I think we're beginning to see the setup for that again. Like we have these ETFs. It's a lot easier for retail to get involved. They can buy it on Robinhood. They can buy it like in their pockets easily. And the infrastructure is like 10x in place. And now we're getting into like these different like metas on top of it where like AI is now on top of crypto. Streaming is now on top of crypto. I want to talk about the streaming here in a minute. That I think we could still see that rampant speculation bubble fill up again. Like,
Yeah, let's talk about streaming. That'd be a fun thing to talk about. We had to fill Signal in on what happened yesterday.
Just before we go with that, also on this side of things, I feel as if like I keep hearing people say like when Bitcoin does X and alt season starts, like I don't know about you guys, but I feel like the whole alt season narrative has already started, but it's just manifesting itself all in meme coins. I feel like alt season, because everybody's expecting to see this mega run on your AVAXs, your Ethereum, your like you name it, as how we saw in a previous cycle. But I think that narrative has already played out, and it's playing out all in meme coins.
It is. So meme coins are the altcoins of this cycle.
Exactly.
And every other narrative, I think is like struggling. Like I'm in the gaming industry. Everyone in the gaming industry is like, kind of struggling right now because first of all, like, VCs aren't building games is very capital intensive, right? And there hasn't been enough winners to justify the amount of capital investment, right? Whereas like there's no capital investment required for meme coins to get out of the gate. Very similar to NFT projects. There's not a lot of capital required to get those out of the gate. So that the gaming sector has kind of been struggling, and people are like, man, we're spending millions of dollars trying to build these great things, and then we launch them and no one really cares, and everyone would rather be at the meme coin casino. And yeah, I think if you look at a lot of alts, specifically alts that are like paired in ETH, like Prime, they're not doing that much. And I mean, gaming in 2021, 2022 is the hot narrative. It's no longer the hot narrative now. Like when I was in May of this year, when I was like feeling bearish, especially on alts, like, things like Ronin, I sold out of at 250. And, you're like, when you see everything pumping, you're like, oh, what's the price of Ronin? It's at 140. So it's almost 50% off of where I sold in May, despite Bitcoin and Solana making strong all-time highs. And that isn't to say that these other sectors can't do well. Like, gaming, especially in Q1, can be very hot. But I think that meme coins have established itself as like the dominant narrative of the cycle. So I think things that aren't adjacent to that just won't do as well.
Yeah, and it's kind of sad to see. And I think like with gaming, I think people are just like assuming that gaming is going to break out because it just seems so obvious. But I think like you really need to have like some mega game like capture the attention of gaming.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and there needs to be like a World of Warcraft type moment for a game in crypto.
Yeah.
And then when that happens, you're going to see a trickle down effect across all gaming of people trying to find the next that.
Like that's what Axie Infinity and Zed Run did in 2021. Is right. Their like breakout success is what got people super excited on that narrative. And I think that the tough thing with gaming is that there's not a shit ton of there's a lot of people in Web3 that are playing games or that are gamers, right? But like playing BullX is a game. You know what I mean? That's a crypto game. It is. You know what I mean? And it has all the things that people want in a crypto game: speculation, gains, right? A lot of action, PvP. And I think that, that's gaming in a lot of the sense. And a lot of the gamers, they want to go play Call of Duty after a meme coin session. They want to go play Call of Duty. And yeah, I think I'm still very bullish on gaming, but I agree with you. I think that, there needs to be a big breakout winner, because there hasn't been one this past cycle. Like the biggest winners, I mean, people are going to laugh like when I say this, but like, Friend Tech, Fantasy Top, right? Pump Fund. Those are the kind of probably top 3 consumer apps of this cycle that would come to your mind. And none of them are pure play games, right? But you could say that there's like a game in them, right? Like Fantasy Top was kind of like a strategy game. Friend Tech was maybe a social game. right? Pump.fun is a meme coin game. And I think like some of the things that the gaming industry and crypto may have to realize is that like just slapping Web 2 game concepts into Web 3 and saying, hey, we have an NFT or hey, we have a token, that may not be the product market fit for gaming in crypto. It may need to be things that are, you know, more socially driven experiences, right? Or different. Once again, my buddy Darren, who was very big in Web 2 gaming. That was his career before he went into Web 3. He said that what gaming needs to succeed in crypto is a breakout game, like you said, but it needs to be something that's never been done before. Meaning like some sort of game that like unlocks something with crypto to create something that's never been done before, right? And gives people a feeling that they can't just get in Web 2. And yeah, off the grid is basically most people that I've talked to in the gaming industry, they say that like off the grid is going to dictate what happens in gaming, at least at a VC level for the next 2 years, meaning that if this doesn't prove that like Web3 gaming can take big VC money and succeed, then, you know, VCs aren't going to be clipping in big money into game concepts. I honestly think that I like off the grid. I wanted to succeed, but I honestly think that like the biggest crypto game that succeeds could probably end up being something like a Pump Fun, not in the what Pump Fun is, but in the sense of when Pump Fun first launched, I think they barely could raise 500K. That's how non-consensus their idea was, right? That's how against the grain their idea was, is that they could barely get 500K of VC money. Imagine that, right? And they've now made $200 million. I think that the crypto breakout game that we probably get is going to be, you know, a couple of devs that come up with this weird, wacky idea and they can barely raise any money for it. And then that's the one that, you know, ends up being just some sort of insane cook.
Yeah, jumping in here, I mean, off the grid saw like a ton of like paid marketing success and people were talking about it and pumping it, but I mean, it's fallen off a cliff. There's 600 people watching this game right now. I understand it's in beta, but like I think like the thing that's going to take everybody by storm is going to be bigger. Maybe we're just early here. But no, I do definitely agree with you that it's going to be something novel to the crypto space. I want to move on though. We've been like absolutely cooking kicks. You've been providing the alpha, but I want to get into these live stream coins and meta that happened yesterday. So Signal, I don't know if you've been following along, but yesterday there was a token launched in the morning called Live. This was essentially some guy live streaming on Pump Fun. This is what he looked like at the beginning of the stream. Just and the coin's named stream until 100 million market cap. So he's streaming along. The coin's doing very well. It gets up like in this 20 to 30 range here, 15 to 20. And I think Dees and Hunter RL get on a call with him and they're telling him to like do stuff like, here's what you need to do. You need to burn your token. You need to shave an eyebrow. You need to shave your head. Like you need to do all this other stuff to pump the token. He ends up burning like $500,000 of the token. We're still live. Here he is now. He has his hat on, but his head is now shaved. He's missing part of his eyebrow. He's written all over the wall. He's cut his hoodie. I believe his hoodie's like up on the wall. He's written on it already. You can give some audio here.
Random FUD army coming into Pump Fun chat.
23 hours in
like
right now.
Too bad y'all don't really matter. Y'all really don't matter. Because we got so many people that believe.
Like this is the new Twitch TV, man.
Your FUD. I burned 400 grand live on stream.
I think this guy's was like the you know the alpha play that went out. The funniest beta play, even though it's weird and the guy's weird, is that shitcoin where he's saying that he's sitting on the toilet trying to take a poop, because simply for me, the name is so funny because everyone calls meme coin shitcoin. And so he made a shitcoin where he's live streaming on the toilet. And I just thought that was pretty funny.
I missed that bit. I did tune in for this yesterday. I missed the toilet bit. I saw, because everyone found out. the name of his dog. I think didn't his dog become a ticker as well? Because he mentioned it in the stream, but I don't know how that one did. I love this guy's dedication. Honestly, it is something else. And like he only joined his space in March. Is that right? He's like a recent joiner.
You're talking about this guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's fairly new. Yeah, fairly new to the crypto cycle. Absolute dedication. And we're gonna have we're getting the top dog soon, but we're gonna have a question. Who's gonna last longer, this guy or Toilet Guy?
I think, and is his ticker name Live?
His name this ticker's name is Live. Yeah.
The thing that I'm trying to like appreciate and understand with like meme coins too, this is actually an impressive one because it's almost at all-time highs despite volume being nowhere near it was for the first couple of hours. One thing that I've definitely learned is that like, yeah, you see that and then the volume just dies, but no one sold. So it just, the price has been able to go up despite considerably less volume. I've been trying to get better at like understanding volume and how volume like impacts these things, because I think that is just very simply why a lot of meme coins die, is because they only can draw in a lot of volume for a few hours. And if the meme coin can't hold the attention and keep people holding, then it just dies off. This is a great exception to that, because even though volume died off, no one's selling because they think it's such a good narrative. 24K holders on Live. That's wild. Or sorry, yeah, 24K holders, kind of crazy. Yeah, that is.
Yeah, absolutely nuts. Yeah, so like this spawned a complete like a meta that just been going crazy. Just everyone live streaming the dumbest stuff. I saw a grandma this morning rug people and use racist slurs. I saw it's like multiple people yesterday. This guy on the toilet, like it's wild. I don't know if I like this meta. And I think that like
I liked the TikTok meta better.
Yeah, and I didn't even like that one. Like,
Me either.
Like, it's been like a couple days of like just like me not enjoying what's going on, which like, makes it more difficult to trade.
No, people on the timeline don't like the TikTok meta because most people on X are not on TikTok, and that's why they struggle. That's why they struggle. Everyone's like, "Oh, there's this one that's come from TikTok," and then they're running around trying to find somebody who knows about the app. And that's why I think a lot of people don't like the TikTok trend, is because it's not coming from X, and they're able just to be like, because can you imagine, everybody on X has built their following for years. They know exactly who to follow. They know exactly who to have on noties. They know exactly who not to have on noties. Like, this has been curated over years. And then you've got these memes now coming from TikTok, and now they're like, I don't know what to do. Do I just type in memes? Do I like, it's every social media app is different. And every social media app has a different culture. And trying to understand a culture of an app in the context of meme coins takes time. And that's how people aren't being able to jump on these things so quickly. It's because they're not native to that app in the same way they might be native to X. So I don't know. I quite like the TikTok trend, but that's because I'm a user of TikTok. I really didn't like the flies. The flies getting tested on. I was like, I'm going to skip that trend. Just going to jump over. So I'm kind of glad that we're in the streaming one. I feel like I have somewhat of an edge in this. Even though
I actually made money on the TikTok metas because I felt like there was a little bit more of like a formula to like, you know, what would work or like what wouldn't. It was also hilarious to me because like the TikTok meta, it broke one of like, you know, maybe not the rules, but the guidelines where I would check and I'd see if there had been tokens created with the same name previously. And there on TikTok day on Wednesday, there was meme coins that had been created before and they were still sending to like 500K. So, you know, you would look up like, you know, Riz or something like that, you know, and there was like 40 Rizzes that have been created over the past month, but then that Riz would still send to like 300 and 400K. It was absurdly funny. I actually got wrecked on, but this was dumb in hindsight. One of my hard rules is don't buy apps on Bolex. So like anyone pretending to be an app or anything like that. Because I think generally just a lot of them are rugs. The ones that like aren't rugs, they take a lot of something to just survive. Like it has to be a waifu or something like that. like some guy created an app where you could copy paste any TikTok video and it would create a pump.fun token. And I got wrecked on that trade because I bought it out of the gate at like 300K and it just Giga died because I realized like, oh shit, that was so dumb because like it's not even an app because like you could literally just like link the TikTok on Pump Fun. Like it's not making anything easy or anything. It was just so dumb. But I was like, oh, it's an app. Oh, this could be the next Pump Science or whatever. Man.
But to be honest, I want to see the TikTok trends stay and stick because I think it means that we still have momentum. The cycle is still going. It's still trending. It's still in the zeitgeist of people who are scrolling. So I like that. But I also think the AI one will stick over the next, like, till the end of this cycle because AI and crypto just intersect. And it just makes sense that that narrative will stay here until this little bull cycle's over. But let's see, things change so quickly. I think the live streaming one will probably get hijacked more and more and more, where there'll be diminishing returns for those tokens. There's diminishing returns for all of these tokens, but I think the streaming one, what happens is that the streamers have to become more extreme to get attention over the streamer before. Now, if you're an AI
that could
agent,
be dangerous. Like that's that movie Pulse or something. It had MGK in it, where it's like a bunch of like live streamers, and like this girl becomes like a live streamer, and like she ends up going to all these sick parties and all these things, but like the people on the live stream like encourage them to start doing like more and more reckless shit. MGK's in it. It was actually a pretty good movie. It was kind of predicting some of the stuff that we see with like YouTube prankers and Twitch TV and all of that stuff. But the streaming stuff, I'm still struggling to really crush it on that. I do believe that the biggest thing that could happen for meme coins in general in the meme coin trenches is someone to create some sort of pumped out fund that eliminates like snipers and dev bundles and stuff like that. Cause everybody talks about the easy to quantify numbers, like pumped out funds made 200 million. Trading bots have made 500 million. I don't think people fully appreciate that. Like, for example, a dev will launch something that maybe like Elon tweets or, something hot, whatever. Right. And they'll bundle it up and it's a narrative that actually ends up cooking. Right. But if you do the numbers on how much that dev pulled out on that one token, it's usually in the high 5 figures, if not 6 figures on one token that they're sucking basically out of the market on someone, right? And the reason why these bundlers succeed is because with any fast moving news event, it's generally first to graduate and is tradable on Radium is the one that's going to stick. So it basically rewards these devs that as soon as something happens, they can basically load in an image, load in a ticker, click a button, bundle, launch it with a bunch of wallets, take it right up to 40K, let people run it up to graduation, and then they just snipe their way out on the other side. And they make disgusting amounts of money. And it's pretty much on every single like hot coin. I'd say 80% plus has happened. So I think you're probably talking, these people are making more money than Pump.Fun is every day. And that's just like Pump.Fun is sucking it out of the participants. These people are sucking out of the participants. And I also think that they're hurting the participants more because like the hard rugs and stuff like that can really like wreck somebody mentally. So whoever can solve for that will be very good.
Yeah, definitely. And we're running over an hour and 15 minutes in right now. I want to get into Top Dog just so we have this week done, because we're going to continue doing this. We're going to keep the streak alive. This would be week 20 of Top Dog. Week 19 results. We're going to fly through this really quickly. Bopopo extends his lead, gets 2 right. Rough week for everybody overall. Only a couple people ended up over 50%, including Kix, T-Ward. Just those two. And T-Ward's now the only person at 60% right or higher. Resolutions from last week. Does Gensler officially resign? Yes. Does Bitcoin break 100K? Just got close, but did not do it. No. Over under 10.5 meme coins, over 1 billion market cap, under. Goat fell out. Mike Tyson or Jake Paul? Jake Paul won the fight. Punk's floor over under 40 ETH, under barely. I think we're at 37.9, 38 ETH. So some close ones there. We'll get into this week's questions. We're going to go Chill Guy, the meme coin. By the time we're at the next Friday when we start the show, over under $500 million market cap for Chill Guy. We're sitting at 372 now, off all-time highs around 550. Basically, is this going to run up or is this going to die?
Could you put like the hourly chart up?
Yeah. Here's the 1 hour chart on Chill Guy.
Those wicks are insane.
Yeah, I think this is just like how like the market
Slippage sells.
Yeah, people just getting
It's
wet.
slippage sells.
Yeah, because there's probably a lot of people who don't know how to trade buying this coin.
Yeah, or just people that are up disgusting amounts of money are fine clipping into slippage.
I'm gonna say
I don't know.
under.
I think this is one of those signal.
Under. I'm going under.
You're going under?
Yeah.
Damn, I thought you were going to go over.
Uh,
Volume's dying off. I think it would need a range a little bit more before it sends to 500. Although, you know, those TikTokers, man, and their Lambo videos, maybe they can convince some more liquidity to come in. I'll stick with Signal because I thought she was going to say over and I was going to tail her. So I'm going to tail her on the under.
I'm going to go under as well. Also, next Friday, by the time we start the show, will Bitcoin be over under 100,000?
See, if you say under and it's over, you just feel like an idiot.
That's a tough one. You feel like the
I think it breaks 100 from here till Friday, but it's staying over, which I think is going to be the tough bit. So by Friday, do I think it's going to break 100 by Friday? Yes. Will it be over 100 next Friday? I'm going to say no. I think we're just going to kind of like chill. We're going to like just consolidate in this area, 98, 99, 100, kind of these kind of numbers.
Yeah, I'd say the fact that we've had the biggest like MACD volume curl in the history of Bitcoin would lead me to think that, yes, I think we can go over 100, but we may need like a couple weeks of consolidation and maybe like a little bit of a pullback to like 90 or 85 before it sends through. So I'll stick on the underside. I do agree with Signal. I do think it could wick above it.
Oh, sorry. The commenters just put in some new information. Has just come in live. Next week is Thanksgiving. I'm going to say over. All you Americans, all you
because
do
all the
is
markets are closed.
Argue with each other, and then after dinner, then you go and trade. Then you go and buy Bitcoin because you're going to be boasting to your families how much money you've made. Thanksgiving weekend, but it's like people are bored. What are you going to do? I'm going to say over.
All right, over for Signal, under for Kicks. I'm going to go over alongside Signal here. Next one, who ends their live stream first? The live guy or the guy in the toilet? Live guy's been going for 24 hours. Toilet guy's been going for like 10 hours. Toilet guy has some insane videos on his YouTube where he's just like in a room by himself in solitary confinement for 2 weeks straight.
I think it's got to be price dependent, meaning that like if the shit coin goes down to like 2 million or 1 million, I think you could give up earlier just because like the incentive maybe is no longer there. But also you've said he's a complete degenerate. I think Ray should have to say it first.
I'm going to go to the toilet guy. Like there's not a doubt in my mind that this guy is going to be on here for 3 days.
I'm going to say live ends first. So the guy who's been going for almost 24 hours.
So that's the So you're saying toilet guy lasts longer.
I think the fact that he's streaming from a toilet says it all. I think he has stamina that not all of us have in our bones. He can stream from a toilet. So I'm going to be cheering for him. I think live ends first.
This isn't a.
I'll go toilet guy.
Right, so all three
stays the longest. The live guy ends first.
All right,
so better go into some serious sleep deprivation otherwise.
Yeah. So we've got live stream guy ending the stream first. Everybody is agreeing there. Next one, does Sol break 270 at any point in the next week? We're currently sitting at 255. We hit the all-time high of 264. I have a line drawn at 264 here. It's like basically like the run up. So we need another 5?
I'm going to say no.
10. Yeah, like a 5% gainer on the week. No for Signal.
No.
I'm going to say no as well. We don't break 270 at any point in the next week. Kicks.
Yeah, could it get just a crazy one more wick up? I'll go with yes.
All right. Kicks on the yes. Last one, we're going to throw back last week's question on the CryptoPunks. Over under 40 ETH at the beginning of the show next week.
Where are they at now?
We are at
37 or something?
37.67.
37.67?
Yep. There's roughly 15 punks to 40.
To 40? I'm going to say under.
I'm going under.
I'm going to go over. I think we're going to have some people in the holidays rotating back, not being as degen and saying, you know what, I'm just going to grab a punk and flex my wins.
I do think the rotation narrative could be strong.
Yeah,
Also, is where you get those sweeps that come in. I think, yeah, I could be wrong on that, but I'm going to say no anyway.
All right, great show today. We've been crushing it for almost an hour and a half now. A lot of alpha dropped in here. Thank you guys so much, Kicks and Signal, for dropping all the info and really making this.
That was a great time.
Great show. Had a great time. Anything else you guys want to bring up before we get out of here?
No, I'm good, man. Great show.
All right. Well, everyone enjoy your weekend. You can catch us every weekday, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern time. You can catch us on all major podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify. Catch us on YouTube. Check out our graphs. Check out our pretty faces. Enjoy your weekend. Have a great day.